Hey guys, Kena here. Today I'm going over the opinion of myself and some of the internal thoughts of the Maverick Dre team, with the biggest surprise in terms of classes this tier, and just what the biggest surprise was for us during progress in Ny'alotha. There were some classes we really did not expect to see ever. Of course, there were some great all-rounders, no matter what fight you kind of expected to bring, and maybe those surprised us a bit as well. And there were definitely some that came out of the blue and kind of surprised us randomly, just wow, this is actually pretty good. But without any further ado, let's begin. So the class that surprised us the most, basically the entire guild agreed on one thing, all but one person, and of course the person was Roger Brown. All in all, we did not expect in using this class much, but ultimately we ended up using two. You guessed it, it was the Hunter. When Roger talked about Hunter being strong, the entire guild together in voice kinda went, well, I'm not sure buddy, maybe you need to get a strong ult ready for Ny'alotha, you're probably gonna need it. But well, if there was ever a 5-head in the guild besides Overlord Scribe, it's definitely Roger, and he proved us all wrong. Of course, over the course of the Eternal Palace, previous tier, Hunters kept just receiving small hotfixes, 2% here, 2% here, 2% here. And coming into Ny'alotha, Hunter scaling just went through the roof. Roger at some point showed everyone his stat weights, and it just kinda popped up question marks of what happened to the spec. What has Blizzard done? It kinda was just crazy to look at how Hunters just had double the stat weights of almost anyone else. Another factor that played into the strength of the Hunter overall was the new stat for 8.3 Corruption. Echoing Void did insanely well for Hunter, purely for the nerf, and this could have easily been on some fights up to 20% of Roger's overall damage. Put that together with some of the insane scaling, and boom, you got like one of the strongest DPS's out of nowhere into the next tier. Another good thing is that Feign Death worked on the thing from Beyond, making Hunters a great candidate for running over 39 Corruption and still being very safe. This of course meant he could run more Corruption and gain more DPS. Hunters also have very good mobility with Disengage, an immunity with Turtle, and they never lose any DPS while moving. This just makes them a great class for Ny'alotha, something we really did not expect from PTR testing at all. From PTR, Hunter just really didn't look that great, and the pets and pet AI made it sometimes hard for Hunters in the early stages of the tier. On Ny'alotha, Hunter pets sometimes couldn't reach a tentacle on the edge, and on drest'agath, when Hunters picked up the buff and DPS the boss, their pets wouldn't get affected by it, and Hunters really did no damage to the boss at all. But coming into the tier, most of these issues got fixed, Hunters killed hard, could crop very easily, and had a strong kit going into Ny'alotha, and kinda surprised all of us. Well done, Roger. A class we used more than expected, even though we knew there was gonna be good, was the Fire Mage. The class is designed, quite literally, to defeat Mythic Ny'alotha. On Mythic Ny'alotha from small ad spawn, and they're not very high prio, and the Mage Ignite just passively deals with these. For the Anguish, the little pools that we have to place in phase 2 and phase 3, Blink is amazing for it. You gotta place them close to the edge and they'll just blink over it and be completely fine. Combustion is insanely good for total boss damage and also making a big ignite to kill any of the ads around. Also insanely good for inside the Psychus phase when he got 8 stacks. An Execute that has built-in movement with Scorch movement, casting while moving, immunities for soaking. There's basically nothing that this spec does not have that is good on Mythic Ny'alotha. This spec ended up being so good that in the second week, we decided to gear up 2 more mages and kill the boss with a total of 5 of them. It also helped the mages have the strongest burst in the game, making the perfect candidate for killing Ny'alotha during the mind control damage increase window. All in all, I would say by miles, Mage is the best spec for Mythic Ny'alotha. Just the all-around toolkit, everything that it has ended up being superb in this fight. So, definitely actually came out as a surprise, as originally we started Ny'alotha progress with only 2, added the 3rd, and then realized we needed the 5th. The final big surprise coming into this tier was the 3rd and the 4th tank tactics. Throughout this tier, Echoing Void has been very potent, now slightly nerfed, or well, pretty well nerfed. So potent that tanks were willing to use cloth items with the corruption effects on it. These tanks would not really always be tanking, although they could. They just help control the fights. Fights like Il'gynoth, they could control the ads. Fight like Carapace, they could also control the ads pretty well. But then you might think it's World vs Progress. How do you make the DPS check? Well, don't worry, because Echoing Void is kinda insane. The fact that tanks are also tanks meant that they could actually run up high corruptions. For example, on our Carapace kill, Nokia used over 90 corruption. Because of this, tanks were quite literally able to beat DPS on single target, with a splendid more than 50% of the damage actually being Echoing Void. Obviously this is fixed now, and for good reason I'd say, but it was quite a special thing during progress. Some funny stories about this is, for example, during our Demon Hunter splits, or ladder splits, Mini, one of our main Demon Hunters, ended up tanking that run, only to be about number 3 on the DPS meter on single target bosses as a tank. The only people that were beating him was one Jimmy, who was a main Demon Hunter, and I think maybe 2 Zero because he had infinite stars. So definitely was pretty fun to see during fights. This most ended up being used during Il'gynoth to control the blobs going into the boss, and for example on Carapace as well, where it was just really nice to have a third tank for all the small ads. Well, I guess that covers everything from the class that spread as well the most in Ny'alotha. We'd love to hear your feedback in the comments and in the form of a like and dislike, including your suggestion for anything else from myself or one of the other raiders. Be sure to subscribe to not miss out of any of those videos. Once again, I'm Kana. You can stop by my stream anytime you want and ask me anything you want. Thanks for watching and have a great day.